Okay, thanks. Hi, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting, everyone in person and also joining online. We're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's meeting. We've hit quorum. We are waiting for a few more folks to join us, but in the interest of time, we'll kick off tonight's meeting officially at 5:35 p.m. So I will go ahead and actually pass it to Norma to get us started with our language access announcement.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Norma, va a ser la intérprete para la reunión de hoy. Si necesitan escuchar la reunión en español, en unos segundos verán la opción en la parte de abajo de la pantalla para escoger el canal de español. Muchas gracias.
Norma, so for folks that are online and or have your computer in front of you to listen in, on your Zoom settings, you can go ahead and navigate down to the toolbar and just select the interpretation option that works best for you for tonight's meeting for listening in. And with that, I'll go ahead and get us started with roll call for tonight's meeting. Just a second. Okay, so for tonight's meeting, if you can please come off of mute once I call your name. We'll be using the raise hand function for voting and roll call at tonight's meeting. So with that, we'll get started. Nancy Aguirre. Present. Thank you. Alfredo Angulo Castro. Marcus absent. Ianad Burrell.
Here.
Okay, Marisol Cantu.
Presente.
Thank you. Lucia Costello. Okay, Sandra Castaneda. Absent. Suzanne Coffey.
Present.
Yeah. Michelle Gomez Garcia.
Present.
Thank you. Lisbeth Ibarra.
Present.
Thank you. Hakeem Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. Jeffrey Kilbreth.
Present.
Thanks, Jeff. Dr. Ochoa, you're sitting right next to me.
Present.
Thank you. Jessica Range.
Here.
Thank you. Simran Sandhu. Dave Severy.
Present.
Thank you. Heidi Swillinger.
Here.
Thank you. Franklin Ungo. And BK White.
Here.
Okay. Thank you all. In just a second while I navigate over to documents. Okay, and so with that, I know Nancy mentioned it, I'll just make one more quick shout out for it. This room picks up sound very easily, so just be mindful of any sort of, background conversations, any rustling of paper, typing. The folks online will be able to hear a lot of that noise within this space. MIG is already screen sharing the slides, but I did want to make one quick introduction before we get started with tonight's meeting. So I wanted to introduce you all to Arsenio Mataka, who's present with us right now. He is the new Deputy Executive Officer of Equity and Community Programs here at the Air District. So I'll pass it over to Arsenio to give us a quick hello.
Oh, thank you. Hello, everyone. You already took away my line. That's what I was going to say, my name and title. But glad to be here. This is my first CSC meeting here. I've been here for, just counting now, just coming up on 3 months. But I'm looking forward to working with all of you. And in my previous life, a long time ago, I was part of the team that drafted this legislation, AB 617. And so it's really an honor, and I'm looking forward to the privilege of helping with the Air District and you all implement this law. That's it.
Thank you, Arsenio. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started with tonight's meeting, and I'll pass it over to one of your CSC co-leads, Dr. Omotosho.
Good evening. This is Dr. Omotosho. Welcome to our 36th CSC committee meeting. Thank you all for being here, both in person and virtually, and a warm welcome to Mr. Arsenio Mataka for joining us today. We're looking forward to working with you. I think we'll get started first of all by going through a brief summary of the agenda for today. So after the welcome and going over the agenda, we will approve the minutes of last meetings from June 24th. And then we'll have brief updates both from the fuel refining ad hoc as well as the CSC co-leads about ongoing work we're doing. And then we'll have a presentation by the Air District on an overview of implementation framework and what that would look like. And then we're going to have a couple of breakout activities today. The first one is where we're going to prioritize some of the in-progress or starting actions that hopefully everybody had a chance to pre-read before tonight. And then we'll kind of prioritize 10. Each person will have a chance to pick top 10. And then we'll have a short break in which that were to be tallied, and then come back again to kind of go over the results and have a breakout session to kind of discuss and get comments back on the choices we've made. And from then we'll go over the next steps in terms of preparing for the next meeting and where we go from here, and open up for comments afterwards. Next slide. Just a quick reminder, especially since we're doing a hybrid, please raise your hands if you want to speak, and includes those here personally as well, physically as well as on Zoom. And say your name before you start speaking so those on Zoom can know who it is. And let's try and keep it to one voice at a time. As Carissa said, this room picks up a lot, so any shuffling or comment will get picked up and kind of make it challenging for our colleagues online to hear us. And as much as possible, if you can, share your video, and try to do that myself here now. That would be great. And please be patient and flexible as we try and use this technology as well. And if you're having trouble with raising hands, you could always put something in the chat. We'll have someone monitoring that so that we don't miss your input. Next slide. And as I already said, one mic, one voice. And so we should please allow everyone a chance to and be respectful and open to other points of views. And as we all discussed before, expectation is we've all had a chance to pre-read all the materials for tonight's meeting. And if you need to take a pause, you can do so during this time. As much as possible, if there is room, we'll try and also popcorn around to those that may be a little quieter so that we can also hear their input and voice. And so kind of goes over the usual. We already did the roll call today, and we'll ask for public comments before we take any actions at all. And then we can adjourn this meeting. Any motion has to be brought forth by a member and seconded by another member to go forward. And then the co-leads will adjourn this meeting once we're done with the agenda. Next slide. So the quick goals is one, approve the June 24th meeting minutes. And then we'll move on to a presentation from the Air District on overview of implementation framework. And then we'll have the first breakout group activity. So those in person are going to stay in this room where we're seated. And then we have it set up to do a virtual small group for those that are joining us on Zoom. And during the break, district staff will tally the actions, and then after the break, provide a brief recap before we go back into our breakout rooms, both for us here in person and another one for those virtual, to discuss and share ideas about this implementation and prioritization list we've come up with. Next slide. Now, pass this on to
It's me.
oh,
Yeah, no worries. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Coquette. You may have previously known me for my role in rule development, but I'm actually in planning now. So I'm doing a switch with Alicia Parker. She's going to be on East Oakland, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time on Richmond implementation. So I'm going to be covering the timeline slides from here forward. So you can see where are we at today. We are in the implementation phase here in orange. Before I get to that, up in the blue, you can see the plan was sent to CARB. It's still within that 60-day review period, but we're hoping on an update very, very soon on getting that finalized. And we'll report back as soon as we do hear that. And then, yes, into the orange, in terms of implementation, we're working on the implementation plan, and that's going to be, today's activity to look at some of the actions that are already in progress that will go into that plan. And then in September, we'll be talking about others that might go into the implementation plan as well. So I can pass it back to Dr. Amatosha.
thank you, Laura. Welcome back. Next slide.
Question.
Yes.
Hi, it's Ian Burrell. When will the 60 days be up for CARB's review?
September 10th.
Thank you.
So yeah, we have just a quick update. We have the report is written, the staff report, evaluating the plan, which is really easy because it's so comprehensive and well written. And then our attorneys right now are looking over just to make sure we get everything right from a legal standpoint in our staff report. So it should be done soon. I'm actually getting updates right now from our attorneys who are looking it over. So just making little small edits and stuff.
Thank you.
Next slide. Okay, so I hope everyone has had a chance to review the June 24th meeting minutes. Any comments or suggestions about the minutes? I don't see any here or on Zoom.
I don't see any raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, all right, next slide. And then any public comment on the minutes, last meeting.
Let's see any raised hands on the public side as well.
Then I'll proceed to ask that the CSC propose a motion to vote to approve the June 24th CSC meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
Suzanne Coffey, I motion to approve the June minutes.
Can I get a second?
A second, Ian Burrell.
And Carissa, can we get a roll call?
Of course. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through and call everyone's name. Just let me know yes, no, or abstain on the decision to approve the meeting minutes from June. So Nancy Aguirre.
Yes.
Thank you. Alfredo Angulo Castro. Okay, Ian Burrell.
Yes.
Thank you. Marisol Cantu.
Yes.
Thank you. Lucia Costello. Suzanne Coffey.
Yes.
Michelle Gomez Garcia.
Yes.
Thank you. Lizbeth Ibarra.
Yes.
Thank you. Jeffrey Kilbreth.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Omatoso.
Yes.
Thank you. Jessica Range.
Abstain.
Simran Sandhu. Dave Severy.
Yes.
Thank you. Heidi Swillinger.
Yes.
And then Franklin Ungo. Okay, and with that, the motion to approve the minutes from the June meeting, does pass.
Thank you, Carissa. Can we move on to the next one? Okay, we'll have an update from the floor refining ad hoc, which BK White.
Thank you, Doctor. I attended a meeting on July 24th this year. It was a kickoff meeting for the Refinery Communities bi-monthly meeting series. During the meeting, Dr. Kate Hogue, an assistant manager in the Air District's Meteorology and Measurements Division, provided updates on the types of air monitoring that the agency conducts. Dr. Hogue reviewed the refinery fence line monitoring, refinery community monitoring, and incident response on the for the refinery quarter particulate sampling. Dr. Hogue also discussed improvements for refinery air monitoring regulations and improved access to air monitoring. We also had Alan Abbs, the Air District's legislative officer, provide additional details about two legislative bills, which I'll just briefly explain later. And it was SB 674 and Assembly Bill, State Bill SB 674 and Assembly Bill 1465. Air monitoring programs for the refinery quarters. We had Dr. Hogue provide an overview of air monitoring programs for refinery quarter communities. And we had Alexander Sandy Crockett, the Air District General Counsel, introduce himself and provide status updates on refinery enforcement cases. Under air monitoring for refineries, including the fence line, Dr. Hogue updated the group on air monitoring progress, including a new site near the Benicia Museum. And under improving air monitoring data accessibility and transparency, Dr. Hogue discussed the Air District's monitoring during the unplanned incidents and community involvement in data collection. Dr. Hogue discussed AB 674, air monitoring data availability and community participation. 674 aims to further standardize refinery monitoring systems in California. Earth Justice sponsored SB 674 in the California legislation in the California legislature. The Air District has provided technical assistance and advocacy support. It has been sent back to the Senate floor for concurrence vote. And if it passes, could be signed by the governor by the end of August and early September. A few more things. In the air monitoring and particulate matter in the Bay Area, when that subject came up, it was brought up that some refineries do not have alarms on the monitors. Air District staff discussed potential changes to monitors and alert systems for refinery community air quality. And the group was pleased to hear about this because they wanted more transparency and to know what was going on. Under the environmental regulations for the refinery, Alan Abbs discussed two bills approaching 674, as I mentioned before, and also he mentioned 1465. AB 1465 has potential to triple penalties for air pollution violations at Title V sources. The Air District is a sponsor of the bill and is currently awaiting a vote on the Senate floor. And community members who would like more information about the bill or would like to be supportive can contact Alan Abbs at the BAAQMD. And not to take up any more time, but there was a question of future subjects, and I brought up the Chevron deference ruling that happened June of this year, where the Supreme Court overruled the Chevron deference, emphasizing the importance of clear delegation of authority for Congress. And I was told by counsel, BAAQMD counsel, that it didn't really affect BAAQMD, but he would get more and explain it to us later. And it was more federal EPA that it affected. So hopefully it wasn't too long, but it was a good meeting. It was a kickoff. I'm sure we'll get better, but the main thing is talking, right? And communities leaning on communities and having more sources to pull from, to help each other, learn from each other, and use best practices of what's going on in other areas that we can get better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Question, BK, how would you this question? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I jumped ahead. Quick question. Did you notice any like themes or lines where it kind of impacts or where we can partner up with our implementation, like things that we're working on right now that can kind of go hand in hand to what's happening in this,
I think
with this
because,
committee?
I think because of the varied monitoring instruments that are used or technology that are used, we need to get aligned in that first. But we didn't really talk about their implementation at that point, but maybe we will, maybe it's something we can bring up the next.
Awesome, thank you.
Back to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there other comments from CSC members? Okay. Yeah, I saw Jeff's comment. Yeah, the governor vetoed it last week. So I don't know what's gonna happen next week. 674.
674.
Yeah, it was vetoed last week. Yeah, Jeff, please go ahead.
So not only is that really disappointing in terms of Newsom, but it also means that we have stuff in our plan that was sort of assuming that the requirements of SB 674 would be what we would be doing at, with the refineries. And so now, if there were, just to pick a simple rough number, if there were 8 important tasks that aren't being monitored now, that SB 674 was going to force the Air District, Chevron, to find a way to monitor, then, and I don't know if the number's 4 or 8, but there's definitely some important tasks that are being added to the list of required emissions to monitor. We would have to decide that on our own, which ones, and the cost and availability and the quality of the monitoring technology that's available for each of those individual emission types. So it's a bunch of work. If we care about that issue and we want to move it, we're going to have to, I think, roll up our sleeves and work with the Air District to kind of do a mini SB 674 for BAAQMD.
Yes.
Marisol, you can go ahead.
Thank you, BK. I'm really glad that you were able to make that meeting. I just wanted to ensure, will you be able to attend the next meeting as a representative of the CSC and do another report back, or should we be looking for another member to attend that meeting?
Love to.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thanks a lot. Dave, yes, me.
Hey everyone. Hi BK. Thanks for those updates. Could you just repeat the name of the bill number for the one that triples the penalties? I think you said it was.
Yes, it's Assembly Bill 1465.
Got it. And okay, cool. I'll just go ahead and look it up. But if you have any links, it'd be great to see just like in the chat or whatever. But, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments for CSC members before we open up to the public? I don't see any. Okay. Next slide, any public comments?
Raise hands from the public side.
Okay. All right. Next slide. Now we'll move on to the CSC lead's ongoing updates on the work we've been doing, and I'll pass this on to Marisol.
Thank you. Can I get the next slide, please?
Thank you. We're ready.
All right, you can go ahead, Marisol.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I believe it was Nancy behind the camera for this photo at our July social gathering. Excited to have more people and more of these in the future. We also just wanted to share we are interested in moving the membership recruitment forward in the next couple of months, understanding that this was a transitional phase for our CSC, and we do have a couple of vacancies right now for government representatives. We have hopefully a health representative coming from Contra Costa County, as well as possibly a planning representative coming to CSC. I think it'll be important as we move forward for general membership that we do targeted outreach to different voices that aren't in the room, perspectives that are also not present in our CSC. Thank you. Next slide. And as we talk about membership, we wanted to uplift our general attendance policy. And since the co-leads have come in, we wanted to do our due diligence and track attendance from August 2024, which is after the new charter was approved by our entire CSC. And so, as y'all know, part of our charter, 3 absences in a 12-month period is kind of our maximum. And we do have some folks that are at 1 or 2 or even 3 absences or more. So we'll be following up with different members that have different absences and just trying to understand what we can do to help engage them and improve communication with them and support them as either they decide to offboard or decide to continue. Also, just wanted to remind folks as we move towards implementation, the charter also shared that each of our CSC members would be doing more hands-on work for implementation up to 8 hours every month. And so just thinking of the new semester start for young people and our lives change, definitely want to uplift how attendance is really important in this meeting and our success of our plan. And I pass it back to Dr. Amatoso.
Thank you very much, Marisol. Any comments from our CSC members? Fiona?
Hi, Ian Aquarel. A couple of questions. For attendance that was excessive, and excessive being relative, whichever way we want to identify that, prior to the new charter and the absences, how is that being addressed, 1? And 2, can we pull together a timeline specifically to fill these roles? If I'm not mistaken, it's been several vacancies for a long time, I think over a year. And so to really push for a timeline to be aggressive about filling those vacancies. Either one of those questions, anybody can answer, I guess.
Yeah, the first one, we've been looking at it, in terms of the absences and already reached out to people that already had more than 3 absences previous to the new charter. So we've done that already to see if they can still need more support or even commit to continue to do this.
And then the second.
And then the second part, yeah, it's been a long, frustrating process because the different government agencies have to nominate someone to take on the role. And so it's something we brought up again this summer that we haven't had someone fill those seats for a while. And so it looks like, at least for the Contra Costa Health, there is someone they're probably going to nominate. And so we wanted to make sure we had a chance to also vet the people they nominate to make sure they're actually a good fit for what we're trying to do, as opposed to just automatically giving them a seat.
A follow-up, may I?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Amatoso. On that second part you just responded to in terms of the vetting, I would like to uplift or underscore the process last time, and I understand it was an error on someone's part, I don't know, even though it was in the minutes, that I volunteered to be a part of that committee that was doing the interviewing, and somehow it got missed. So I want to bring that up. And two, and I know we don't need to have this right now, but that whole process, what does it look like? I remember there was a Q&A or some questions or something that was sent, like all of that. So will this committee, how will that committee be formed of the individuals who are doing the interviewing or the part of the vetting?
Thank you for asking that, because those are the same questions we were asking ourselves prior to this meeting, because we were talking about wanting to reopen the applications. So we're going back into the governing ad hoc notes to look at what questions we had, bring those forward again, go through exactly to what you said. There are some hiccups there that we have to go through, and then open it up to all of you of who's interested on being on that panel. So it's not the 3 leads make the decision. It's like how we were talking before. We have the CSC ad hoc who will do the application, go over that, and then as a group bring forth, hey, these are the people we thought of. You all get a yay or nay on whether they move forward based on this rubric. And some of that stuff we already did and solidified as a CSC. So it's going back and looking at what we had okayed and move forward, and what we need to go back and take care of. But yeah, those are exactly the questions we're talking about together. So we're just letting all of you know that's what we're gonna start doing, so that we can reopen that and get this filled, because there's a lot of work ahead.
Thank you.
Yes,
both.
no, thank you for that. You will, that we will let you know, because we know you want to be involved. So not to worry. I got you, go right here. Texting you right now. Thanks, Pastor Tosho.
Any other comments? Yes.
I had a question if we were differentiating between excused and unexcused absences.
I'll just give an answer off the top of my head. I think the issue is whether we feel like a member has the capacity to support the work we're doing. So even if it's excused and they just don't have the capacity to actually help us do the work, I think that is a problem.
The only reason I bring it up, there's life events, there's people ill, there's people who may have a vacation, and those are the ones that they let you know beforehand, but you're missing a meeting. And most times there is this kind of language in any kind of agreement. There is a differentiation between excused and unexcused.
We will go back to the charter, because it is in our charter. I think we have 3 absences in a calendar year, which we are counting from, I want to say, did we say August? From August forward. Because from where because we just transitioned to new code. So it's not necessarily excuse or unexcused. It's to what Dr. Mia was just saying is, do we have the capacity for the work? Because there are some people who are in all the committees, but maybe just sometimes the schedule gets messed up on the 4th Monday of the year or whatever. So it's just checking in. It's not like you're calling to the principal's office, right? Yay, back to school. It's more like checking in and ensuring, hey, we just want to do a check-in. Are you good? How can we assist you? What's on your plate? Are we committing to the plan and implementation? But sometimes life does happen, and we just, we gotta do what we gotta do. So we just wanted to.
That's why we're trying to be proactive. Even if you miss one meeting, we start to regenerate. But I'll let Marisol, because I think she also wanted to add.
Well,
Yeah, for the sake of time, I think we'll come back to the next meeting with the policy around excused and unexcused absences. And if it does need to have a charter amendment, we'll bring that forth as 3 co-leads to better define what that means, excused and unexcused. It's been something on my mind, so I'm glad you brought it up, and we'll circle back. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any, we'll move on to public comments. And
See any hands?
okay, and then at this point, pass it on to Diana and presentation.
Okay, sure. I'm happy to start us off. I'm just gonna check, Dr. Matoso, do you wanna kick us off? Or do you
Yeah, I
want me
could
to-
do the first couple slides, yeah.
Okay,
I forgot about that part.
sure, no problem.
Next slide. Okay, so the goal is to help us come up with a plan of how implementation will take place, and kind of doing this year by year. And so the initial plan is for the first year, which is gonna run from October 2024 through September of 2025. And this will cover the actions as stated in the plan that involves both CSC, the co-leads, the air district staff, and then other public and government agencies as well. And so the idea was all this information was trying to sort out the actions into 5 different categories. And then using references on the appendix A of the Path to Clean Air plan that we made, and also information from the air district staff's internal kickoff meetings with the different divisions, and also ongoing conversations we've had as well, both with the air district leadership and CSC co-leads. The idea was to come up with a way to frame how we're going to move forward this first year, and hopefully it's a plan we can also take into the subsequent years, but also open to modification along the way. Next slide. And the idea is that this allows us a way to plan out the work we're going to do over the next year, so that we're able to focus our priorities and energies on the plans, because we do have a lot of plans, 140 actions spread across 31 strategies. And so finding a way to be efficient in the work we're doing is one of the reasons for creating a framework. And that will hopefully help guide us this coming first year. Next slide. And so as I mentioned, there are 5 categories of actions in a way, one way to describe them. One is the ongoing, which means actions that are actually already recurring or reoccurring within the air district and of COB. There are 15 of those actions, and this will be ongoing within implementation. And so it's not something that has an obvious, very clear end date to it or start date either. And it's all routinely done by the air district. Next slide. And then we have the actions that are reported, which are where reports are required, either 13 of them, which could be periodic reporting, quarterly, annually, or just general status updates. So this is more about communicating the information to us and kind of giving progress updates along the way as well. Next slide. And then the status or in progress, which is what we're going to focus on this evening, talks of things that are already in motion at this point, and there are 22 of them from our plan. And as part of the framework for implementation, the CSC will convene these breakout sessions today to help us prioritize what 10 actions we want to focus on in year 1 of implementation. Next slide. So the next category is the CSC-led implementator initiator actions. And these are 8 of them. And the plan is to hopefully use our next meeting in September to kind of go over this and kind of discuss how we're going to prioritize or carry these actions out as well. Next slide. And then the last group are those that have not yet started. So these are the actions that are still pending this initiation process. And some of them actually need to be separated into different sub-actions to assign to the appropriate implementers of primary responsibility for it. And so the idea is to kind of discuss, these ones, which ones have specific start dates coming up, within this first year of implementation at the next meeting. And then the remainder of them are ones we actually have to discuss during year 1 of implementation on where we want to place those along the way. Next slide. And I'll pass it back.
Yeah, I can take it from here. So these are the actions that are going to be discussed today, going into the activity where you're going to look at prioritization, what's important, and level of involvement. So I will cover them briefly. One of the first is under the control fugitive dust strategy, that's CNI 1.1. So it's the dust white paper, which includes identifying best management practices for controlling dust, evaluating rule development opportunities, and implementing recommendations. So for that, the white paper is actually already out there. Since we started writing this plan, so long ago, we've made some progress at the Air District on some of these actions. And it's at the stage of really looking at those opportunities that are identified in the paper and starting to implement those recommendations. Then we have 3 more from the commercial industrial sources that falls under the large industrial sources strategy. So 4.1 is implementing Rule 1118 at large non-fuel refining facilities. So that includes consulting with the CSC on health risk assessments, any risk reduction plans that are required of facilities as a result of the HRAs, and also providing implementation status reports on that process of implementing the rule for the different facilities. And we actually have a facility under 4.4 that's identified by name in the plan. That's the next one. So the West Contra Costa County landfill, implementing Rule 1118 at that facility to analyze the risk that it imposes on community, and then also conducting a gap analysis. So like a kind of comprehensive review of anything that 1118 might not touch on that needs to be addressed for problems at that facility. Then we have CNI 4.5, and that is for metal recycling. So there's a source evaluation and a metals white paper, and that is actually out for public comment right now. I actually think that the end of the comment period might have officially been today, but we are open to receiving comment beyond that, so don't let that stop you. Next slide, please. All right, into fuel refining. So we have 14 started and in progress actions here. 5 of those are under the reduced persistent flaring and improving incident response strategy. So FR 2.1 is the Air District and the CSC work with the city of Richmond and also the county to strengthen the industrial safety ordinance, the ISO. FR 2.2 is the Air District coordinate with the CSC to improve and expand communications about all flaring events and also major incidents at both fuel refining and non-fuel refining sources. And here we've split this out. It's a very long, in-depth action because it was very important in the writing process. So FR 2.2A is a piece about improving and expanding communications via creation of a new web page. And then 2.2B is doing the same, but through standardized internal and external communication protocols at the Air District, so that we're, having the best efficiencies in terms of getting information among, involved parties and also out with external parties as well. FR 2.4 is along the same lines, and that is the Air District improving their incident response program in order to get more transparent and user-friendly information to a wider audience faster during and after major incidents. And that includes flaring as incidents as well. Next slide. So 4 more fuel refining actions under the Hold Polluters Accountable strategy. FR 3.5 is for the Air District to expedite the notice of violations resolutions process in the fuel refining sector. FR 3.10 is for the district to develop by 2026 a program to apply a Title VI Government Code Section 11135 lens for applying a civil rights and disparate impact analysis to refinery-related permitting activities. FR 3.13 is to improve refinery fence line and community air monitoring programs. And that's actually the action that mentions SB 674. So that would be something to be considering in looking at that action. And then FR 3.15 is refinery-related measurement data accessibility improvements, so making that data more accessible. Next slide. More under fuel refining, we've got 3 actions under reducing exposure from toxic air contaminants. So FR 4.1 is to amend Rule 1118, the one that was referenced in some of the other actions, to improve the stringency, efficiency, transparency, and public engagement. FR 4.2 is to prioritize implementation of that rule at Chevron. And then FR 4.3 is to implement that for chemtrade in the fuel refining sector. Then we've got 2 more actions under reduce exposure from particulate matter and other criteria air pollutants. So FR 5.1 is to implement Rule 6.5, and that is now via the settlement agreement that was entered into that was presented on a couple months back. And FR 5.2 is to finalize the PM 2.5 local risk methodology so that it can be used for rule development and accountability. Next, I see Jeff's hand up. Should I answer questions now or take it after we finish this slide?
I think we can take it after.
Okay, yeah, this is the last one, I think, so then we can clarify anything. So under health and mobile and resources, there are also 4 started actions to round out the list. For health, reducing air pollution at home. That's Health 2.5, so reduce exposure to wood burning, which is evaluating rule development opportunities via something like a white paper, and initiate that by the end of 2024. Then under mobile, we're looking at truck attracting businesses. There is 1.2 to do a model policy or ordinance for low to zero emission operations. And then 1.4 is to evaluate a magnet or indirect source rule, including tracking South Coast rules, looking at local ordinances, and evaluating opportunities to develop Bay Area specific models and regulations and solutions. And then lastly, resource the plan implementation. So 1.2, co-develop and implement an annual implementation plan, which is what we're in the heart of right now and working towards. So that's the full list of 22, I believe. So we want to hand it to Jeff now?
Yes, yeah, CSC council member comment period. Jeff, you could start us off.
I just want to clarify, I think it's just a typo, but an important one, and everybody should, before we go into the breakouts to vote on the top 10, it needs to be clear to everybody the same way. So fuel refining 2.4 in the longer 18-page document, not the slide deck, rephrases this action to address both improving incident response and reducing flaring. So the language specifically is reduce persistent flaring and improve incident response. So that's 2 very important things that are in one action called 2.4, I think. So but
just to
for me,
clarify.
Oh,
I'm on mute. I'm sorry, Jeff, just to clarify, that's actually the name of the strategy that it's under, so it's getting towards that end. But I think that was just added in to try to make it clear that incident response also included flaring. But anyone that's interested in like the details of that action, definitely look at Appendix A, so you can see like the full description of that action.
Well, reducing flaring is different, than improving incident response. So I just want to know which action do I vote for if I want to do reduce flaring, and which do I do if I want to do incident response?
So 2.4 is definitely getting more towards improving incident response. It's under that umbrella of strategy 2, which is to reduce flaring, but you're right, like improving incident response is not directly going to reduce flaring. So if that's your priority, I would look at other actions that get towards that more directly.
But honestly, it's a problem, Laura. I mean, in the 18-page document, some people might have worked with the PowerPoint. Some people might, the slide deck. Others worked with the document, the longer document. But it says that this whole section 2.x is reduce persistent flaring and improve incident response. But the only action that talks about actually reducing flaring is 2.4. And I don't find it somewhere else.
Yeah, just a second. Do you have?
Would you like, I have an answer.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes,
Yes, so in the pre-read document, if you go to the very last page, page 18, what you'll find is that what has been pulled out for September is specific strategies or specific actions that we have found have not yet started, which means that there might be some thinking going on and it's on a work plan, but it actually, like, the train hasn't left the station yet. And so there are, ask me to tell you how many. I think there's 8. I might be making that up. And if you look there, Jeff, FR 2.6. And so in September, when you discuss the strategies that listed very specific start dates in the plan, but have not yet started, you will find 2.6. So that will be your conversation in September. That is the important reduce flaring. That is the action that is very targeted at reducing flaring.
And I mean, just to put a finer point on it, I mean, Jeff, the reason why we added the overall, that tagline that you see, that, apologies in advance if it added confusion, we added it in there to eliminate confusion, but reduce persistent flaring and improve incident response is the name of the fuel refining strategy 2, which has several actions underneath it. And we just wanted to name that very clearly. And so it's not incorrect. 2.4, if you go back into the appendix, reads exactly how it's listed here. Air District will improve its incident response program. And we felt like it does encompass to a certain degree flaring. It's not, it doesn't eliminate that. So we just wanted to be really clear about that.
I'll let Heidi get a chance to comment as well.
Thank you. Yes, I want to, just for my own understanding, these actions have been started, but I want to know, I mean, are these happening? This is like Air District is taking the ball and running with these. And when they're completed, will we have sign off? Will this come to the CSC for sign off and review and
Well, Heidi, I think the idea is that some of these are started now, but we want to vote today in a way to prioritize which ones we want to be actively involved in.
I see.
As opposed
Okay.
to us, just getting a report at the end.
Okay, good. That's okay. So you're saying that the of these 22, we're going to pick 10 that we want to be involved with, basically. That's the goal today.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other CSC members? Yes.
Hi, Jessica Rage. What happens with the other ones we don't choose? Do we get just regular reports as part of our CSC meetings on their status?
Yeah, we will have to get updates on those, because all of them will keep moving. It's just we won't be directly involved because we have limited capacity, to cover all those actions.
I just have a quick comment on that. So if there's a public engagement part of those actions, because many of them are already ongoing, we can absolutely let you know, and you can individually get engaged in it. It just won't be that the CSC as a group will be engaged. So if you are fascinated by the dust white paper and this group is not, there is a way for you to plug in. It's just not plugging in as a committee.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying. What's next?
Yes. So I'm going to comment not as your co-lead, but as Nancy Peace. A couple things going on here as we meet with the Air District staff. This part of the implementation is Air District heavy, as some of you have noticed, but part of that is because they have been currently working on these things and it's also in our plan. So if there is something in here that you feel strongly that CSC needs to get involved in, or that you really want to be pulled, you don't see any of your strategies in here, we're here for you to do that. I also know that as I was looking through this stuff today, it is kind of complicated and confusing because as I was a writer in other groups, I really have no idea what's going on with like Marine and Rail or anyone else. So moving forward, I think, now this is me as a co-lead. I think as a co-lead, I think moving forward, we might need to do a little bit more education on revisiting what we wrote or revisiting what we agreed to, what we wanted. And that's just the Nancy piece in me talking. Because there is a lot of moving parts here. And so this is also going to give us a little bit of a stepping stone to see where our CSC members are interested in getting involved, so that we can have you also at the table, helping to guide and not, not relying on just us three to try to hit everything. So we're really excited to see what you're interested in pulling out in what's already happening. But we are also here to ensure that what you don't see and you think it's important to be seen, gets seen. So we're kind of just open. This is where we're at. We're open to all your suggestions, I guess, is where I want to make sure and bring clarity. And really, I have noticed that as a co-chair, I get to add in more time, committed time to some of the things that we're doing because it's so dense. So feel free to email me personally. I'm sure Saul and me will take your email too, but we're here to help. I brought the plan. So if you need cross-referencing, I have it here. But yeah, it's a lot and we're just gonna take one bite at a time and see how we can bring it all together. So we don't get siloed. I think that's the other thing that we're concerned, that we end up getting siloed and people with different strategies aren't talking to each other. So I hope that's helpful. I'm in the same boat and all your input is important for us to continue to move forward and really see some changes. So thank you. Dr. Nee.
I think I'll move us to public comment. Okay. Yeah, as we talked about, where all the strategies we're going to be with actions we're going to be looking at next month as well. They are not included in this list from today. Next, we're going to kind of talk about, next slide, a little bit about what the breakout activity is going to look like, how we'll do the prioritization.
Great. Hi, everybody. It's Nina. So I'll be introducing today's breakout activity. So this is the prioritization exercise. You've all received the pre-read that is giving you the information about the 22 started actions. So today is the time for the CSC to choose what the top 10 will be out of the 22.
please recognize all 22 actions are moving in year one. Today is really about understanding what your level of engagement will look like. You know, what does the CSC want to prioritize out of those 22? So we really want to understand what those top 10 look like for you. So we have everyone set up in substations. And what that will look like is a dot voting exercise. So everybody has received a set of in-person or virtual stickers. And you'll use that to place your top 10 choices out of the 10. And yeah, really, this is just the time for you all to engage with one another, be empowered in that decision making to further prioritize the 22 actions. Staff will be here to help. Virtual participants, you'll have staff in the breakout room with you to help you. If you need help with any technical support, moving the stickers, please unmute yourself or chat in the Zoom chat, and someone will be there to help you. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so here's more information just about what the in-person groups will look like. So in-person folks, we have it set up here, the substations for you. You all have your 10 stickers. Please vote only on one action, but use all your 10 stickers. We really want to know what that top 10 looks like for everybody. Let's see, yeah. So I want to keep us all on time. So if you have any questions, please ask during the breakout activity. But everyone, we have 15 minutes. MIG will set a timer, and then I'll provide a 5-minute countdown before that 15 minutes is up. I think we're ready to move into our breakout groups.
Hers? You separately, Deanna.
Okay, welcome back. Hopefully everyone was able to complete the exercise. We're gonna take a 10-minute break to allow the district time to kind of tally all the votes and then come back to kind of discuss it. Before we break out into small groups again to discuss kind of the results and thoughts about it.
Yep.
So we're 10-minute break and please come back.
All right.
Oh, quick, what's going on?
Abby, I got the tally.
We're muted.
Welcome back. I hope everyone was able to finish the exercise and hopefully this will help us, moving forward. Just a moment for the final tally. We are going to break back into another group just to kind of discuss the results and kind of our reflections on it. So just a moment.
While we wait, I do want to do a thank you to Jeff who's going to be facilitating our breakout room, and Ianad for stepping up to facilitate tonight. We appreciate both of you. Yes, now. Thank you. Do we need a dance? Are we ready? They're almost done. They're almost ready.
I can write them, you want to say them?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we have, or you all have officially selected your top 10 actions that you would like to prioritize. So bear with me and Nina while we read through these. So the first one, and these are in no particular order, I can give you the total number of votes as Nina writes them on this whiteboard here. But it's going to be CNI 1.1 with 8 votes. Okay, and then the next one is going to be CNI 4.4 with 10 votes. CNI 4.5 with 12 votes. Okay, FR 2.1 with 11 votes. FR 2.2 with 9 votes. FR 3.5 with 11 votes. 3.5, 11 votes. FR 4.1 with 7 votes. 4.1.
11 votes?
Seven.
Thank you. 11 times.
FR 5.1 with 12 votes. H 2.5A with 6 votes. 2.5A. With 6 votes. Okay. And then last but not least, our resources 1.2 with 8 votes. Let's make you guys' top 10. I don't know if that deserves a round of applause or not, but
yeah. Would we be able to get what other people voted for that didn't make the list so that maybe we know who to follow up with to those actions when they come?
so you're asking if we can get their votes after this. That would probably then impact what the top 10 is. Yeah. So
no. Oh. Was there any vote? Because
this is for both the in-person and the online.
She wants
right.
to know.
For example, someone voted for FR 2.2, right? Would we be able to know who voted for, like whoever, like is there any oddball votes that didn't get on the top 10 because there are 22, correct? So is there anyone who voted, 1 or 2 people voted for something that no one else voted for?
Oh,
that kind of thing. Because then that, I think, it would behoove us to say, hey, Air District's working on this that you voted for that we're not putting attention to. So keep them in the loop of what they were interested in.
Yeah, I think we can share the tally sheet that Nina and I created, and it has everyone's name and what they voted for. And so you'll get a better picture then of what folks' top 10 were and then what people weren't really interested in, and then what people were interested in that maybe only got like 1 or 2 votes.
Okay, just to keep people in the loop of what they're doing.
We can do
I
that.
think that'd be great.
Yes.
Yes, and I think it's important to remember that no one is saying that any of these that didn't make the top 10 are not important. You have to prioritize at a point. And it's not making them less or anything like that. It's just in the prioritization of things, you found those more priority worthy, but it doesn't lessen the importance of the ones who didn't make it to that, top 10.
That's correct. Well said.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's good.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. So yeah, that is the outcome of our prioritization exercise. We can go to the next slide. So we're gonna be moving into part 2 of today's breakout activity, which is gonna be small group discussions on the actions you just voted on. So next slide, please. Okay, so we're again gonna move into breakout groups to talk about the top 10 actions you guys just chose. So we'll have one virtual group and one in-person group that will remain in this conference space. And so the goal for this activity is to basically just discuss and talk about with one another what the top 10 actions mean for all of you guys, and share why you chose what you chose, and maybe why you didn't choose what you didn't choose. And then just ask questions and share your thoughts around the top 10 actions that have been selected. Next slide. We do have some prompt questions that you guys can go over, which gets at whether or not these top 10 actions align with what you chose. You can talk a bit more about it if they don't align with what you have picked. And then you guys can also discuss, how do you see yourself participating within the implementation phase for these top 10 actions. And so in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and start moving folks to these breakout rooms.
Just one question. How many total CSC members are here today that are voting?
In person, let me just take
and
it.
online.
Virtual.
Oh,
total.
for both, let's see. 2.
Quorums for.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. 12.
12.
Yeah.
I'll let you know why that's important later. From Olivia Pope's perspective.
Alrighty.
That's interesting that the number to the sun.
Thank you, BK.
Excuse me.
Bye.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so we have set aside 20 minutes for this discussion. Do want folks to keep in mind, we did aim to have this meeting end at 7:30. So is everyone okay with staying a few extra minutes to have a 20-minute discussion?
Yeah.
Any from those attending virtually, any comments on that, or we're good with staying a few extra minutes? See none.
I'm okay with 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
great. Yeah, we'll go ahead and move you guys into your breakout rooms, and you guys will have 20 minutes for this discussion.
Those prompt questions, where are they?
about saying their mind.
We're muted all the way around.
Okay.
We're muted.
You are
unmuted.
unmuted.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you had a good breakout discussion like we did over here. I wanted to see if there are any CSC comments or questions following up from the breakout. I don't see any. I'll open it up, next slide, to public comment. No. Okay, so I'll move on to our next meeting. This will be on Monday, September 23rd, same time, 5:30, 7:30. We'll try and keep it 2 hours. And it'll also be a hybrid, so in person here, and then we'll also have a Zoom link as well. Next, to any public comment on non-agenda items. Okay, thank you. Then I'll call for this meeting to be closed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh. I got to go. Never had nothing like that.
Hey.